Presidency has said in relation to President Putin, and we ourselves are still discussing this matter. Your question was whether we have finalized our position or not. It is a matter that is still under consideration. We await all the BRICS members to indicate whether they are coming or not. So your question is much too early, and the matter is still being discussed. With regard to the G7, Japan is the convener of the G7, and as you correctly say, we often are invited to G7 meetings, and it is really the host's decision on who to invite to G7 meetings, and it so happens that we often are the only country on the African continent that's invited. And this time they've invited the AU chair, and we as South Africa are very pleased because that gives recognition to our continent. And we don't have any quarrel with that. And what we have perceived in this whole process is that the Japanese have chosen to go for regional blocks for invitation. And they are focusing, it seems to us, on their own sort of part of the world. So we are not, unhappy for not being invited, because in the end it is the host's choice to invite. Like, we are going to be chairing BRICS, and in the end we are going to decide who should be invited outside the BRICS family. And the last time in 2018 we invited a number of other countries, and we did invite other regions of the world, and those who were not invited could never say they were being rejected or whatever, because the host decides. And when the host decides, they are focusing on whatever objectives that they want to meet. So we are not feeling disappointed, but we are pleased that the AU chair has been invited, and we are in full. Thank you.
For me, both on Sudan and Ukraine, firstly, I will say that when diplomacy fails, when dialogue is not pursued, countries go to war. Then I will add, one doesn't make peace with a friend, but you make peace with your enemies. So in both cases, it will not be us from outside who will solve the problems. If dialogue cannot be pursued, in any case, like Sudan, terrible situation in Sudan, out of the blue, people are fighting. What happened? Sometimes also exclusivity spells conflict, I say. Inclusivity spells harmony. So if some group or person feels excluded, you are going to have war. So we don't actually know what caused this war of two generals in Sudan. But issue has been handled by other institutions. We just say that you talk to an enemy, you talk to a person or institution you are disagreeing with, so that way you can find solutions. Outsiders can facilitate. It will be two warring parties to come and hold hands. Same with Ukraine. Instead of de-escalating I'm going to say, we from outside cannot solve the problem. It's a serious situation, it's affecting us, but the United Nations is there. It's there because people must talk. When there is a crisis, it will be good that facilitators can be there to bring them to the conference table. That should be brought to end. Now, as for the arrest warrant or whatever you are supposed to be given, I had that kind of a situation a long time ago. And I was with the American Secretary of State, Mrs. Clinton, that time. And she was so eager attacking Kenya and trying to take these people to the International Criminal Court. And I asked her, but how come you are not a member of that court? He said, yeah, our courts can handle it. So I said, how about us? So I always believe I don't support International Criminal Court because it was maybe before Namibia's independence. We have our own processes, systems, and institutions. And our courts, and they are independent. And if there any crime I will commit, I will be tried in Namibia, not in International Criminal Court. Americans are not members of that court. Why not? They said they have their own institutions. So Kofi Annan was very angry with me because it was said Africans asked for that court. And I said maybe they didn't have institutions that time. Now that they have it, I have it, why must I be forced to be there? So definitely, unless we have our own institutions, after independence, we must still go to colonial situations to be tried somewhere else. So South Africa has to decide whether they're going to not invite Putin. It's a very difficult situation. Why only in South Africa? Other time we were here, it was our Bezier. What is it?
Al-Bashir.
Yeah, same thing. So they are targeting you, huh?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are absolutely right. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellencies. One last question. Gert?
I'm Gert van der Westhuizen from Net at 24, Mr. President. The Pala question, did that arise in your discussions? We had to ask the question, sorry.
No, it did not feature in our discussions.
Not at all, so you
Not
didn't
at all.
discuss it at all. Okay.
Not at all.
Thank you, Gert. That brings us to the end of this media briefing. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.